Welcome to the Empowered Wife podcast, where it's all about fixing your relationship without your man's conscious effort so that you feel desired, taken care of, and special, even if your relationship feels completely hopeless. I'm Laura Doyle, and today I'm sharing insights from the husband of a ridiculously happy wife, part 2. My guest, Antonio, is not a student or a book reader, but rather the husband of a coach trainee. He generously agreed to be part of our Man Panel series, and today I'm going to get his perspective on the changes in his marriage as a result of his wife using the connection framework and the 6 intimacy skills. Prepare to hear the male perspective on what makes men attracted to their wives and wanting to be her hero. The Worst Relationship Advice of the Week award is on hiatus during our special Man Panel series, but it'll be back after that. Now, my guest, Antonio, is very forthright and authentic in admitting that he was inappropriate with another woman. He's going to describe what happened, what was going through his mind, and what his wife did to turn it all around and get him back. He shares how he responded and what he thought of the whole approach his wife took. Antonio was very open and generous and willing to share deeply and personally about his marriage. And once again, I learned a lot. I especially loved hearing his accountability and what he loves about his wife. Now, imagine being his wife who invited him on the show on my behalf to be a guest and talk openly about their marriage on a podcast that's downloaded by tens of thousands of listeners. Can you imagine the courage that must take? So I want to give a big shout out to Antonio's wife for fearlessly sharing her husband with us on this podcast. Thank you. What a great contribution to the mission to end world divorce. If you'd like to be my guest on the Empowered Wife podcast and share about how you fixed a struggling relationship using the 6 intimacy skills, I would love to interview you. Just go to lauradoyle.org/podcast-guest to let me know that you are willing to make a big contribution to ending world divorce by telling your relationship story. I look forward to meeting you. That's lauradoyle.org/podcast-guest. My guest, Antonio, is not a student or a book reader, but he rather is the husband of a coach training student. He generously agreed to be part of our Man Panel series. And today I'm going to get his perspective on the changes in his family as a result of his wife using the connection framework and the 6 intimacy skills. He's also going to answer anonymous questions from students on the husband's perspective. So get ready to hear the male perspective on what makes men attracted to their wives and wanting to be her hero. Antonio, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. It's great to have you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Glad to be here.
So before we get started, tell me how long you've been married and how many children do you have?
32 years. 3 kids, 3 grandbabies, girls. And that's it so far. And I think we got one more on the way. So, soon to be 4 grandbabies.
Oh, congratulations on those grandbabies. And also the 32 years of marriage. I consider that a big accomplishment. We just celebrated 32 years here as well. So I know that takes something to get to 32 years.
Yes.
So, yeah. And what was your experience like in your marriage before?
Let's see. What would we describe as a normal marriage? If I can put that all into perspective, it more so morphs into the things that happen in a day. You know, you wake up, you go to work, you come home, you kind of get into the doldrums of the constant thing that happens. It's something that you do every day, and it's almost like one of those things which you don't even think about, but just becomes a part of your normal. And so that was a normal day. And, you get to the point where you kind of stop counting the years, because people would ask me, just like I had a pause. It's like, oh, let me think. You get to a point where you just kind of stop, and it just becomes a part of your normal existence. Actually, you don't think about, the fact that you're married or anything like that. You just, wake up in the morning and go throughout your day. And she's there and I'm here, and, you're going out there, you're trying to pay the bills, and you're going through the daily challenges that, a couple or family go through every day.
So it sounds like pretty typical. I'm also getting kind of a picture of like you're on a treadmill a little bit, like, and I'm hearing it's a little bit of a grind. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's a big part of what a lot of people deal with. Is like, once you get into a one-on-one relationship with anybody, you shut off a lot of other things, and then you kind of conform to, what your new normal is, and you kind of go through it, the ups and the downs, and the things that kind of come your way, and that's kind of how it goes. But yeah, it's definitely kind of a treadmill. It's kind of one of those things like, okay, here we go again today. So it's kind of the same old thing every day.
Yeah, I get that. Maybe more of a Stairmaster than a treadmill at times, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So a lot can happen in 32 years. I know that much. So
yes.
So, and how did you first hear about the books and programs that we study on our campus here?
So when I first heard about it is when, we went through, one of our biggest challenges in the marriage, and didn't even know that, Suzanne had reached out to you guys. So that wasn't, she had mentioned that, I think one point of time she was taking some counseling, but it wasn't one of the things that I knew about. I just knew that she was doing something on her own. Didn't know it was this program at all. But, after, I think once she was done, she felt like she was done with it. She was good. And I think she said that she wanted to give this a try. And as far as coaching was concerned, and that, since the program had helped her, she felt, led that this is something that she could probably, do for other wives, and she has a heart for it. So I think that's when I really first heard about it, and then the name associated with it as well.
Yeah. So you mentioned that there had been a big challenge in your marriage right prior to that. I mean, around here, like everyone who's listening to this podcast has been through some challenges in their marriage. So I'm wondering if we could hear a little bit about what was happening.
Yeah. So we got to the point where we would have this saying about, I love you, but a lot of times I just don't like you. Kind of a thing. And we're at a stage where we weren't liking each other very much at that point. And so, I had got into a situation where it was involved another young lady where I guess we were inappropriate. And so she found out, and it started a whole path spiral downward. And so divorce came up. And so we were at a point where we kind of mutual agreement, that was the path. And so we kind of were going our own way, and something happened. And I guess that would be your program happened, where, then it became one of those things where, no, I'm not going to just let this happen. I think this is worth fighting for. And so that's when I guess I can say then she started putting in work, because there were changes that happened. And, and I think it was kind of on the path of, okay, well, I'm going to win his heart back. And so she, did what she had to do. And, I definitely saw a difference. So it got from the, that we don't like each other that much anymore to, what are you doing? It's kind of one of those things like, feel kind of funny, and so it progressed on, and I saw changes, and so my heart softened, and I don't know if we made a conscious effort or decision to verbally say, hey, we're going to make this work. It was just kind of one of those things where things kind of just fell back into place. And it was like, okay, this is where I need to be.
Wow. Well, this is amazing what you're sharing because, first of all, you're just so accountable. And it is so valuable to get to hear the husband's perspective on what happened and just have you say it so plainly. So thank you so much for going so deep with us and being so authentic. And I want to know when you first noticed these changes, because I really hear that your wife was very committed and decided like this, she wasn't going to let this happen. And you started to feel kind of different inside. Was there a part where you thought, is this some kind of manipulation or?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay. Tell me about that. Like,
absolutely. Absolutely. So that, it's like, okay, here we go with another one of these, something, and then this is going to last a day or two, and then we're back to the same old place. But it was systematic in the sense that you could tell, no, this is something a little bit different than that, and then it just became one of those things where where you're really trying to, you can tell when someone is really putting in an effort and they're really trying to show you their heart and show you who they are. And then, so then it plays with you. And so it's like, okay. And then if you know that you love a person, then, and if you truly love them, whether or not, there are ups and downs and, there's fault and all of that to that each person can blame or put on the other person, you kind of put that to the side and it's like, okay, there's effort. And so, and especially when, like in my case, I was like, well, I knew I was wrong. Whether I felt like I was justified in doing whatever I did, do I see her? And so the efforts, allowed me to see her and to see her heart. And then, it becomes one of those things where, okay, if you see who she is, and she's genuine, then, your heart naturally, for the most part, it begins to soften and you can allow things to happen.
wow. That is amazing. I also just hear this piece of, you're saying things like, it was inappropriate. I knew I was wrong. It didn't feel good to be where you were either, it sounds like.
No,
Yeah.
no.
And the guilt could have been a big interference, I think, with this whole process. Do I have that right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you want things. I don't speak for me. Where I don't believe a lot of people want things to happen. I think you want things to go well.
That's right.
But it doesn't always happen like that.
That's right. Life is messy.
So there's course corrections. If you choose to go that route, and a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't seek help. A lot of people think that there are a ton of things that happen in a relationship, in a marriage, that are completely insurmountable, and sure they are. And but do you have a forgiving heart? Do you have love for one another? Do you have more to what you see as a true relationship than yourself and making yourself happy? So there's a lot of factors that go into that. And so if you can look within yourself, and so like I can speak for myself to say, yeah, I know I did wrong. But I can't beat myself up if she's not going to beat me up. And with that, there is a kind of a soft landing that you can have and try to get to a point where you can recuperate and amend. And if you can do that, then that steady relationship that you once had, it will never be the same. I don't think it will ever be the same. And I think that is the thing that maybe someone might have in their mind to say that if we get back together, if we are able to change this, then the relationship will be as it once was. And I don't think that's the truth, because, there are stains that you might have in a relationship, and you learn to deal with them. But yet and still, there's still brighter days, and you can be able to look back and say that we climbed that hill or we climbed that mountain, and we were able to get through that. Then be able to look back and say, okay, this is what we were able to endure. And, it does help when you speak to other couples who might be in a situation where, oh, he did this to me or she did that. And it's like, well, what did you do? So it's one of those things where my personal feeling is that there is no perfect marriage. And so since there is no perfect marriage, then you have to learn to deal with imperfection.
Yes, beautifully said. And this is an accomplishment, really, because you climbed that hill. You climbed it together. Still standing. You got those kids and those grandbabies, all those grandbabies now. So you must feel proud.
Oh yeah, I mean it's one of those things where you have a story, and we all do.
We all do.
And the story that you tell is, as long as it's true to you, and you're true to the story, then you try to live it out.
Yeah. I think I hear you saying that the changes your wife was making also made you change. Is that fair to say?
Sure. I mean, like I said, you get to a point where you harden your heart, and I think that's one of the biggest things that she asked of me. She's like, just don't harden your heart to me. And so, and that's where I mean by the softening, because of her effort, it allowed me to soften my heart and being able to see her again for who she was.
She was vulnerable, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that brought out something in you, some greatness in you, really, it sounds like.
Well, yeah, you just like, you care for her, you love her. And so it just helps to rekindle that. And if you truly love someone, you don't want to see them in pain. You don't want to see them hurt. That's a big thing. It's like, if you're facing that, if you're looking that in the face, and pain is looking back at you, and you know that you're a cause of that, or you have something to do with it, then you own up to it and you accept who you are in that pain. And then what's your position? How can you help, to ease that pain?
Well, it sounds like you were having your own pain as well prior to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And there were things that I felt like wasn't happening, for me, in the relationship. And so it's just one of those things where in life, when you feel unfulfilled for some other reason, or whatever the case may be, and then there's room for things to slip in there.
That's right. I completely agree with that. I think that's exactly what happens. And nobody ever sets out to break somebody's heart or be inappropriate or whatever. We all want to do well, especially in our marriages, and yet sometimes the situation can be so painful that you don't have the bandwidth to deal with the other person's pain because you're in so much pain yourself. I remember that from the bad old days of my marriage too. So how did your wife change?
How did she change? Okay, so we went on a journey together to get more fit. The things changed as far as even down to what she wore to bed. So that the wardrobe changed there. It was a little more, okay, well, that's different. So
you noticed that? Okay.
Yeah, it was noticeable, but it was classy. And so it was like, okay, I can appreciate that. And then it just one of those things of, being present, and, just me allowing allowing me to really see her for, who she wanted to be. And I think that was the big thing. This is who I want to be. This is who I want to be to you. And so, and then it's like someone, giving you an offer to say, okay, this is this is what I bring to the table. This is who I am. Can you accept this person? And if someone is, giving you that, that there is a difference there. And so you do see that as, where if someone loses focus and they're busy doing other things. And like we talked about that treadmill, if your treadmill takes you further and further off track, then it's hard to, kind of get back on track. So I think, whatever methods, that she was using, I think it tend to be focused on, okay, this is how you kind of bring things into focus. And this is how you do this. And this is how you do that from, even some of the cleaning stuff. Nope, I got that. Don't you do it. Don't you do any of that. I got all of that. So, and it was real hard for me because I'm ex-military. So I'm so used to doing all these things for myself. And, when it got to the point where she was like, no, I'm not going to allow you to do this. I'm not going to allow you to do that. Still kind of made me feel like my hands were tied. But I knew this was her trying to do something different. And so I was going to allow her to do that something different. So it was an adjustment for me. But again, this was her trying to show this is who I am. This is who I want to be to you. And I was like, okay.
So she was showing up in service, it sounds like, in some ways.
Yeah.
And so you noticed she was treating you differently.
Yes.
And you, over time, you began to trust it, that this was authentic for your wife to show up in this way. And so what was the biggest benefit for you as a husband?
Just knowing that this person was inside of her. That probably was the biggest benefit for me, that, this person truly is in there. And so to see it and, over time, be able to accept it, that this person is there. And it's almost like, okay, that's what I've been looking for.
So there's like a side of your wife you hadn't seen for a while. Is that?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And what was more attractive about this side of her?
The effort. You can tell there was effort. There was, there was an attempt to, because I think what happens is, especially in long-term relationships, I think we lose effort. We'll lose focus that, I'm actually trying to do something for you, with you. And so that's probably one of the biggest things I could say. And so as opposed to, okay, I'm going to do something, and then there isn't a sustained effort, in what you're doing. And so you're kind of sitting there, kind of looking side-eyed, like, all right, well, this is going to end here pretty soon. And so, but when it was a sustained effort, then, it was sustained long enough where you can let your guard down and say, okay, well, maybe this time there is something different. And then you could be accepting, the effort that's being displayed.
Yeah. And how did that change you?
As I said, if the goal was to soften my heart, it served that purpose. It really did.
Yeah, I love that. And how important is it to you that your wife is happy?
It's important. It's important. Like I said, if you truly care for somebody, you don't want to see them in pain.
Right.
And so I think that's the opposite of making them happy. And so if she's not in pain, then there's a good chance that she's feeling pretty good about herself. And, and when she feels good about herself, I think everybody benefits. It's definitely a force multiplier there where if she's feeling good about herself, she's feeling good about her family. It just makes her a better person as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can see why that's your priority, because it really impacts your whole family. It sounds like. Yes. And what is it like at your house now?
It's pretty quiet now. And, I think we've kind of gotten to the point where it's pretty settled, if I could use that word.
Sure.
I don't think there's we're trying to do anything to outdo one another. Now we're just kind of getting back into the point where, we're settling into a good routine. We worked out this morning. Work out with your wife is sexy.
Oh, I love it. Write that down.
Yeah, so just you learn to do different things. You learn to.
So you're on a literal treadmill maybe this morning, not the figurative.
Yeah, well, we didn't do the treadmill, but we did ride the bike. But okay. I was going to say is just you just find different ways to have fun. It's just like that's a big thing. You have to be creative, and just going to the gym together in the morning is it's just one of those things where we'll give each other high fives when she's done. I might slap her on the butt, but again, here it is. It's like you have to be creative in how you choose to romance each other, how you choose to love each other, and just try to make it the best you can make it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love that. And what about that grind that you were enduring earlier? Is that?
Yeah, well, like for me, as an entrepreneur, it's a constant battle. So I'm always
at work. At work, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm always doing that, and so I just now I just need when I'm not working, and just you be more careful. From my perspective, just be more careful, be more mindful, be cognizant of how things can happen, how things can transpire, and you just try to keep yourself in good situations.
Absolutely. So yeah, so work is still you're still jockeying for position at work all the time. But it sounds like at your house or in your marriage, I hear some playfulness. I hear pats on the butts and high fives and working out. It sounds softer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you just gotta. I like to say that she's not the same lady that I married 30 years ago, and so you just got to find out who she is today. You got to love her where she is today, and you have to understand that. So, we all have responsibility. From the husband standpoint, the wife standpoint. I know, a lot of times the husbands are expecting, and then you see it from your perspective. But the wives are expecting as well. And I don't think we're very good at that. We're not, at least I'm not. I always tell her, I said, tell me what it is. Cause I'm not going to guess, I'm a guy.
Tell me what you want.
Yeah. I'm a guy. I'm just a guy. So just let me know. It's a whole lot easier. I burn less brain cells, just let me know. And then once I know the path, okay, I can follow it.
Right. And you want her to be happy. You just want to know what she wants so you can give it to her, it sounds like.
Yeah, pretty much. Just make it easy on me. Sometimes I might dig in and I might surprise you, but that's probably not my forte. I'm not good at all that stuff, but I try to pay attention. I try to, see things and, we'll do certain things, that I know that, I might get her every now and again, but I'm kind of one of those guys, like, just let me know, if I'm screwing up, if I don't see something or whatever, just don't get mad at me and keep it in. Just let me know. Just, okay, hey, I screwed it up. Just, all right, I can adjust.
Yeah. I feel like it's sort of a universal refrain from husbands everywhere. I think that just don't get mad at me. Just let me know. What is it? So I love that. I appreciate this. The insight, the husband's insights is really valuable for us. What is your vision for your family from here?
Just keep trying to set an example. That's the biggest thing that I can say. And, even through tough times, you're still trying to set an example there as well. And I think that's all we got. At the end of the day, it's like, give someone something to follow.
And you have a lot of eyes on you, right? You've got children and grandchildren. So you are a role model. And that's some pressure in a way. But it's also a position of prestige. And it's nice to be in a situation to be that role model and not the, well, don't do what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm super impressed with your story and the accomplishment that
thank you very much.
You all have for that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was gonna add to that what you said. It's like, don't do like I did. The second part that I would add on to that is, even if you do what I did, it's all about how you recover.
Absolutely. So do you have any tips for women who are struggling in their marriages? Maybe they're in the same situation that you and your wife were in, where the husband has been, got tired of that grind, and maybe someone else has caught his eye. What's your tip for her to get to over that mountain like you guys did?
So I guess probably the thing I would say is that, we're all human. We are going to make mistakes. And it's really about how you recover. And always have someone in your ear, if you would, that's going to talk positive, that's going to speak generationally and have that mindset, as opposed to someone who might tickle your ear with something that, might sound right for today or tomorrow, but 5 years from now, 10 years from now, is that, the right decision to make? Because, this is truly a journey. And that guy, if he has love for you, if he truly has love for you, then he really wants what's best for you. He might go out there and do something he got no business doing. But if he has a contrite heart, all I can say is, get him to see you, to see who you really are. Make him remember that person that he fell in love with, that she's still in there, and she still has a heart for him. And her desire is that he would have a heart for her as well.
So beautiful. That's a great tip, because it is easy to get swayed one way or the other when you're in a lot of pain and there's some drama. And so I love the idea of just keeping the right voices whispering in your ear. It's really great. Yeah, you're just a great example of what's possible. There can be mistakes, and there can be forgiveness, and there can be role models for the rest of the family.
Yeah, because I think it's too hard for people to try to model themselves after perfect people.
Yeah, it's very hard. Very hard. Yeah, and you're not the only person this has ever happened to. No, by the way, I don't know if you know.
First or the last.
That's right. That's right. You're not the first or the last. So this is going on in the world. It is, and the question is now, how do you want to proceed? Yeah, and you're just a great illustration of what's possible from there. Yeah. All right, I want to ask you some anonymous questions from our students.
Okay.
So one of them said, how do you handle shared responsibilities such as parenting and finance?
So we had a big issue with finance where what you discover is that people come from different backgrounds. When it comes to how you want to spend money, one might be a saver, one might be a spender. And those two don't necessarily go together all the time. And so if you're finding that out, then it's best to have good conversations about it. I'm not going to say, you get a joint account and then everything goes in. And you have to do what's best for you. You have to figure out your situation, and you have to do what's best for you as far as finances are concerned. Now, as far as raising kids, we had we had our kids when we were young. We were 20 and 21 when we had our kids. And so, we were isolated, if you will, because I was in the military. So we didn't have our parents around. So you brought influences in, but you didn't have a parent there telling you this or a parent there telling you that. And it was really our shared experiences from what we brought in. And we had a lot of talking and we did a lot of reading of what we thought was best. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things you can do is that understand that you're, raising your kids, not your parents raising your kids.
Yes, that's right. And you're the expert on your own kids, right? Like, and your parents weren't around. So
no, I mean, you definitely, I will ask mom stuff, I ask dad stuff, but ultimately we had to make that decision, and they couldn't just come over and, hey, do this and hey, do that. So we would get advice, but we got advice from multiple people. It wasn't just our parents, because there might have been something that we saw coming up that, no, I don't think I want to do that with my kids.
right.
So it's really about going in there and doing all your research, or read books. There's a lot of stuff that you're going to find out that you thought your parents knew they didn't know either. They were doing the best they could.
No, they were making it up too. And what about when you and your wife disagreed, though, on how to handle the kids?
How did we handle that? Sometimes she would win. Sometimes I would win.
All right.
That's just being honest. Sometimes she would win, and sometimes I would think about it, and I'm like, yeah, it's not worth it. So it really like I said, it's one of those things where you go through it. Your parents, you're learning it, and I could have said that I think that she shouldn't have a formula bottle going to bed. But you could have been raised in such a way it was, oh no, it's a great thing. As long as you do this and you do that, you won't have an issue. So it just became one of those things where, all right, let's see how this plays out. But it was definitely one of those things where, I might take a little, my side, and maybe one time she would take, mine or hers, or however it went, and kind of see how it goes. And lo and behold, if something she said, it ends up working, it was like, okay, that's good.
Yeah, we're all good. We're all good here. Yeah. All right. The next question is, what are the best ways to flirt and attract your husband back into the bedroom after years of no sex? I got some loaded questions for you here, Antonio.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna answer it as a guy.
I love it. That's why you're here.
Okay, so as a guy, guys are attracted. They're mainly visual. So it is asking what he wants. That's going back to one of those guy things. It's like okay, if bedroom is not an issue, does it have to be bedroom?
Mm-hmm. Change of scenery. Could be. Okay.
Could be. Either in both cases, it has to do. It's visual.
It's visual. Okay. So keep in mind that men are visual.
Keep in mind that men are visual. It could be something where, like I said, something as simple as change of scenery, does it for him. I mean, I don't know who has the issue, if it's the man or the woman, but just speaking from the man's perspective, it could be one of those things where, maybe something needs to change. Maybe he needs to have a reason to be aroused by something. And like I said, we, just when we were going to the gym, it was just one of those things where, she got in. She got in such really good shape. I mean, I would take pictures of her all the time. I was like, oh yeah, but it's still my wife, but she had changed.
That's your wife of 32 years. You're taking pictures of her like she's a supermodel that you just met or something, right?
So it's like, no, okay, well, cool. So and it was good to be on a journey with her, and it's just different things. So there, I think, we get into that routine where you're going to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. till you decide that, well, I don't want to watch TV anymore. And I don't want to watch TV anymore can go to, I don't want to have sex anymore. So just like so you have to definitely change it up, man. I don't mean something crazy. It just could be something as simple as, okay, what do you need from me? What could I do? You know what? I can see myself. Maybe I could do this, or maybe I could do that, and be willing to accept that, and then work towards that goal.
Maybe I could stretch. Maybe I could do something I'm not in the habit of doing, but that's his request, right? That's what you're saying, that she can stretch a little. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I like it.
It's something.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's something. There is something. There is something there. Either, there is something, if there's not something physically wrong with him, there's something. There's a blockage there somewhere.
Yes, that's right. There is something going on. We talk a lot about how it could be something not in the bedroom too. It could be a lack of respect.
Yeah.
Something else that could be going on too.
Yeah. Stress is a big one for a man. Huge stress.
Could be stress, definitely.
And even even if she says, well, we're not doing it, that could stress him out, because it's like, okay, well, I know we're not. And by you bringing it up, you're stressing me out even more. So we're definitely not going to do it.
Yeah, that's true. So her bringing it up could just compound the problems.
Yeah. So, and it's like, take it. Don't even, I would say if there's a situation like that, don't even make it about that. Just, like we were saying, as far as the process of doing all of these things that maybe lead up to sex, but without having sex on the table, and then let it happen.
Yeah, letting it happen I think, can feel elusive for a lot of women. We mean let it happen. It's not happening. I want it to happen, right? And they get, and you can feel some urgency about it, and that can be the thing that sort of impedes it.
Yeah, because that takes the stress down.
Yes, it takes the stress down if you're just letting it happen. Yeah, makes sense. All right. If you have been separated and returned, what was the best thing your wife did? It doesn't sound like you guys did really separate. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Or no? Okay. Well, what was the best thing your wife did in terms of repairing the marriage?
So like I said, we had got to the point where there was a mutual agreement that said that, we're done. So we had got to that point. So we said we're done. So, and then that is a
separation, then, right?
Yeah. And that is a kind of where there's a different mindset that you have now. And so now your focus changes. It's like, all right, so, how do we split this? How do we do that? So now you start thinking in a whole new realm of thought. And so what changed that was, where she's like, nope, we're not doing that. So now it's like, okay, well, are we doing it? Are we not doing it? Just like, because it's like, I really don't want to do it, but if we got to do it, then we're going to go through with it. And so you take that off the table, and then you're like, all right, so if we're not doing it, then what are we doing? And then it becomes, okay, well, because that part didn't work. To get to the precipice to say you're going to do it, and now you say you're not going to do it, but the issue is still there. So you have to be able to go through and resolve the issue. Whatever it was, whatever got you to that point, you have to try to resolve that issue. Because if you don't, it's still there. And so you just look for those words to come out about being separated or whatever. But you have to resolve the issue. There is an issue. Whatever it is, there is an issue. You have to get through the issue.
Yes. So I think one of the things I'm hearing you say, though, is it was your wife's resolve. Like, no, we're not separating, even though we have this mutual agreement right now that feels like a separation. Mm-hmm. We are not going to give up on this. We're going to work through it. So her determination you said, well, okay, I guess it's not over then. We're not separating. You went along with that.
Yeah. I mean, so for someone who's separated, it's like, okay, you're separated because there's an issue.
Yes.
And whatever the issue is, then go back and say, okay, we're going to work through the issue. We're not getting separated, or we're not getting divorced. We're going to deal with this. And I think that's one of the things that that's the point at which you have to start, where there's an acknowledgement that there is something that we're not going to take the easy way out, if you would.
Yes,
we're going to work through it, and we're going to get through it. And even if you do separate, the issue's still there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. So separation wasn't going to get you that much anyway, because the issue is still going to be the issue. And especially in your case, where you've got kids and grandkids, like you're always going to be connected in so many ways. So there's really no escaping the issue, because the issue is there. So, okay. So she was determined, and then you guys worked through the issue. Yeah. So, and that's the key. And that's where you are now. It's kind of looking back, and it feels like that issue, whatever that issue was, it's resolved.
Yeah. And everyone has their own, whether it be money, kids.
That's right. That's right.
Infidelity, jealousy, trust, whatever it is, there is an issue. And it's the core of, when someone says what they can't do is because you don't want to do it.
Yes, that's right. That's right. And I love it. It's like the easy way. The separation is the easy way. It's like in Hamilton, George Washington says, dying is easy, living is harder, right? It's like separation is easy, staying married is harder. It takes more self-reflection and accountability and humility and all these things, commitment, like you're talking about. So, all right, Antonio, what do you find most attractive about your wife, non-physically?
How she wants to help other people. And that's her thing. So she really, really wants to help other people. And when you see that in a person, which is one of the things that attracted me to her in the first place. And so, and that, I think you wanted a piece of that, and so, but I think one of our blockages was, okay, I get it. I love the fact that you want to do all these things for other people, but you can't forget me, in that as well.
Yeah. So you were feeling a little neglected, it sounds like.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And now?
Yeah, like I said, with her, just being present with that, and because it's like I don't think I need. Like I said, I need that much. No. But it's nice to know that, okay, you appreciate a guy, I appreciate that too. It's like, okay, just give me a little something,
Right. That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And what a great ending to the story, that she saw that and was willing to bring more attentiveness, it sounds like, to your marriage and to that commitment, and just had definiteness of purpose about maintaining this marriage, that there was too much good to let it go.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Antonio, this has been so great, so insightful, so many truth bombs that you dropped on us. It's just so refreshing to get to hear from the other side. I interview women on this podcast week after week, so you're a breath of fresh air, and I really appreciate you being so open and so willing to share so authentically with us. Thank you so much.
Glad I can help.
If you'd like to be my guest on the Empowered Wife podcast and share about how you fixed a struggling relationship using the 6 intimacy skills, I would love to interview you. Just go to lauradoyle.org/podcast-guest to let me know that you are willing to make a big contribution to ending world divorce by telling your relationship story. I look forward to meeting you. That's lauradoyle.org/podcast-guest. Listen and subscribe to the Empowered Wife podcast. Next week, I'll interview a husband of over 40 years about how his wife changed the entire culture of their marriage after all those years. In the meantime, I hope you're having lots of fun. Today's fun fact is that this week, the Empowered Wife podcast surpassed 1 million downloads. I'm so happy and grateful you're listening so we can be on the journey of making our marriages last and thrive together.